Virginia opossum. It isn't actually choosing to do this. When a predator gets too close, something in its nervous system just shuts off, and it drops into a stiff, involuntary trance, completely outside its control, closer to fainting than acting. The tongue lolls out, the lips curl back. A foul, rotting smell starts leaking from glands near the tail, close enough to real decay that most predators lose interest within a few minutes. Heart rate slows, breathing slows, and through all of it, the animal stays fully conscious, aware of everything happening around it, just unable to move. Scientists still don't fully agree on how long the trance can last in the wild, since it varies so much between individual animals, sometimes minutes, sometimes most of an afternoon. Eventually, without any clear trigger, it just gets up and walks off. Hognose Snake. This one puts in actual effort. Threatened, it usually tries bluffing first, flattening its neck out like a cobra and hissing as loud as it can. If that doesn't work, it flips over completely, mouth open, tongue out, sometimes letting a thin trickle of blood run from its jaw. There's a musk released from the base of the tail too, similar to what the opossum does, different chemical makeup, same rough idea. Flip the snake right side up while it's still performing though, and it rolls itself straight back over onto its spine, since a snake lying belly up looks a lot more convincing than one resting normally. It's one of the easiest ways field researchers tell a real injury apart from the act, and apparently it took people a surprisingly long time to figure that out. Fire-Bellied Toad. Threatened, it arches its spine upward and rolls forward onto its front, which sounds like a strange defense until you see what it's hiding underneath. Its belly is covered in bright orange and black patches, kept out of sight most of the time, and flashing them works as a warning that it's toxic enough to make eating it a bad decision. Bright, high-contrast colors like that usually means something in nature, and this toad backs the claim up with genuinely unpleasant skin secretions if a predator calls the bluff anyway. Herpetologists call the whole posture the unken reflex, named after a European toad genus, and versions of it show up across several unrelated amphibian families that never shared a common ancestor with this specific behavior. Click Beetle. Disturbed, it just drops. Legs fold in, body goes rigid, completely motionless on the ground, relying on the fact that most predators are built to notice movement, not shapes. That part alone works for most insects. This beetle has a backup though, because landing upside down would otherwise be a dead end. A hinge along its thorax stores tension and releases it all at once, flinging the beetle into the air with an audible click, and usually landing it right side up again. Not always on the first try, sometimes it takes 2 or 3 attempts before it finally lands the way it wants to. Chicken. Flip one onto its back and hold it still for a moment, and something called tonic immobility takes over, a leftover defensive reflex from its wild jungle fowl ancestors. It goes rigid, eyes open, heart rate down, and stays that way for anywhere from a few seconds to several minutes, depending on the bird. Researchers have actually used the length of that freeze as a rough stress measurement for decades, since more anxious birds tend to stay frozen longer. Farmers have used the same trick more practically, mostly to trim nails or check on a bird without dealing with a struggle. Cichlid fish. Every animal so far on this list fakes death to stay alive. This one does it to end someone else's. Certain African cichlid species sink to the lake floor and lie completely still on their side, looking exactly like something that's already died and started to decompose. Scavengers move in close to investigate, the way they would with any actual corpse, and that's the mistake. The moment one gets within range, the cichlid snaps back to life and attacks. Nobody's entirely sure how many other fish species might do something similar, since by definition the behavior only works when nothing's watching closely enough to catch it.